Let's go crazy!
It's the year 2000. I'm at an anime convention, and my brother buys 2 VHS tapes of a show I've never heard of. We came home, popped the first tape in, and my 14-year-old brain explodes as I'm introduced to one of the greatest animes ever made. Like a lot of people, seeing Cowboy Bebop for the first time felt like our whole world was shifting. An awesome mix of sci-fi, film noir, spaghetti westerns, complete with memorable characters, legendary stories, and magnificent animation. Bebop was practically perfect, and I still love it to this day. Years later, as the internet became a thing, I remember trying to see if there was ever a Bebop video game. I found 2, one on the PS1 and one on the PS2. Sadly, none of them were ever ported to the United States. I always heard some stuff about the PS2 game and how awful it is, but without some kind of translation available, I would never be able to make that determination myself. As luck would have it, back in 2025, an English patch of the game was created by Sonic Man 69, and it immediately grabbed my attention. I decided it was finally time to play 2005's Cowboy Bebop Tsuioku no Serenade for the PlayStation 2. My expectations going into this game were low, based on what I heard from others that have played it, but sometimes there's just that show or movie you love, and when they make a video game for it, you just have to experience it for yourself. I played and beat this game, and I have honestly been trying to sort through real-life bullshit to create time and make a video for it for a long time now. I'm actually really happy to finally share my thoughts about it.
And a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go!
Throughout Cowboy Bebop Tsuioku no Serenade, or in English, Serenade of Reminiscence, you'll run around the solar system with Spike, Jet, and Faye, doing what they do best, bounty hunting. You'll watch Big Shot for the bounty hunters to identify marks and track them down, as if you were living an episode of the anime. The game even has the original intro, but it uses the in-game character models, which I thought was pretty awesome. But the random bounty hunting is spliced in between an overall story the game provides. The main plot unfolds by introducing many characters that at first seem to be isolated stories, then wind up tying together at the story's climax. There's a bounty head named Steve Chase, a music producer that tells Spike about a special treasure. This treasure is a piece of music by an artist named Priscilla, who is a well-known figure in the universe of the game. There's a brother-sister duo named Bianca and Kent, who are rookie bounty hunters and the grandchildren of a famous pirate named Captain H. Jet has an acquaintance named Ellen that runs a bar and discovers her husband Ronald, a former co-worker of Jet's from his ISSP days, was killed. And finally, there's a mysterious man with vast resources and henchmen that's trying to capture Bianca and Kent. Throughout the game, the Bebop crew will interact with these characters individually, splitting everyone up so you get pieces of the story here and there as you shift from character to character. A mystery will unfold about an island where Priscilla's song is rumored to be all along, with clues that connect Steve Chase, the bounty duo, Ellen, and the mysterious man to the same location for the final act of the game. I actually really like the story of Serenade of Reminiscence. The writers did a good job making it feel like a Bebop story. There's some good, over-dramatic, and even poetic dialogue, a trait that a lot of Bebop characters have. The cinematography on a lot of the scenes helps set the various moods, from solemn exchanges to comedy to action, and it's all tied together with tracks from the Bebop OST that we all know and love. And most importantly, all the characters act like their anime counterparts. Spike is Spike, Faye is Faye, Ed is Ed. There's no character reimagination or anything like that here. I was really eager to get through the gameplay parts because I was truly interested in what was going to happen. I would be excited to see what the next clue was, like how Bianca and Kent's grandfather ties into the plot. Who is the mysterious man trying desperately to capture them? How is Ellen involved? Will Steve Chase find the lost song of Priscilla? Each new chunk of information in the story was told well enough that the game made me invested. I found all the unique characters created for this game to be enjoyable and interesting. Even the bosses and the bounties you chase, regardless of how much screen time they get, were still interesting, and they felt handcrafted and like Bebop characters. No characters in this game annoyed me or felt useless, and they are all really put together and designed decently, living up to the expectations since the anime had really great side characters. And without spoiling it, the ending has great twists, reveals, and a final showdown. It just felt like I was watching an episode of Cowboy Bebop. It just checks all the boxes. But, as with many things in life, the good comes with the bad.
You know what they say, cowboy. Easy come, easy go.
And the reason this game is well known as a bona fide stinker is unfortunately the gameplay. Serenade of Reminiscence is basically a 3D beat 'em up. On missions, you'll control either Spike, Jet, or Faye, with Edward acting like the tutorial and guide. Characters have a kick and punch button, and by timing the hits, you could string them into combos. It's definitely funky at first, but I got used to it pretty quickly. It wasn't that difficult. Accompanying the punches and kicks are grabs, which I'll be honest, I barely used. The function I ended up using the most would be the counters and just counters. You could time an enemy's attack with a parry and counterattack. It was definitely the most effective way to get through mobs of bad guys. Admittedly, there was a nice touch, which was the ability to build a meter and release a super attack. The higher your combos are, the more meter you build. So on paper, this all sounds really basic, so what makes it suck ass? First off, the random ass camera angles do not help. When fighting in combat areas, the camera is fixed and good gravy, it can be frustrating. Like right here, this dude is attacking me from behind and I'm just trying to at least turn the fuck around so I can punch him, but I'm like rotating the wrong way. When I finally roll the fuck out of there and beat him down, this dude starts hitting me and just look at this. I'm super far away from the camera. The dude is covering up like 80% of Spike. How the fuck am I supposed to time a parry or tell if my strikes are gonna land? But when you start to get used to it, you then realize the entire combat system is very bland and repetitive. Now, I love beat 'em ups, but normally you could beat those in like 2 hours. So even if the game is tedious, it's over pretty quick. This game was like 12 hours of just the same shit over and over again. Very dull, very boring. You were just begging for it to end so you could just move on.
Too long. Your story needs editing.
To try to keep the gameplay fresh, Serenade of Reminiscence tries to mix it up with different types of gameplay. For example, you'll enter a third-person shooter mode, blasting baddies like an arcade game. But it's extremely simple, there's nothing fancy about it, just line up and shoot. There are also parts where you're flying the swordfish or the red tail, which sounds dope, but in reality, it's an on-rails time trial, where you're basically finishing an obstacle course within the time limit. Once again, not really fun, but it's not Superman 64 levels, so don't worry about that. I also found it odd, though you don't have to be perfect during these sequences, you can only mess up just a couple of times, and you basically have to be going full throttle the whole time. It just felt weird that these first-person flight sims felt real strict compared to the other types of gameplay that is offered. The game also includes some chase scenes, which are pretty straightforward, just avoid the obstacles in your way. There's a stealth sequence where Faye has to not make a sound or get caught, which is not that bad, but if you don't like stuff like this, it will definitely annoy you. But by far, the worst part of the game was a sequence where you have to stand on this train, fight dudes, and avoid getting hit by the environment. One hit from a light or low tunnel and you are dead and you gotta start all over. I hated this part with a fucking fiery passion. At first, I just thought I had to keep dodging the lights and low tunnels and just not get beat up, just use the environment to my advantage. But after a few minutes, I was like, does this stage ever end? I then realized you actually need to travel up the train while jumping from cart to cart. So now I gotta time fucking jumps without getting hit by the environment or enemies, and it's tougher than it sounds. But the absolute worst, most aggravating part of this sequence is when the enemies get hit by the environment. If you are anywhere near them when they get hit, it knocks your ass down, and in a down state, the environment can still kill you.
You have got to be kidding!
Just fuck this level, dude. I mean, shame me if you need to, call it a skill issue, but I felt this whole sequence was designed like dog shit. Honestly, all these different gameplay portions just felt more like mini games picked from throwing darts at a dartboard. I could see how they want to mix it up and have variety, but it just did not work out to be enjoyable in my opinion. I would have rather they focused their attention on the combat and making that the best they could and just cut out all the other junk. As far as mission progression goes, a majority of it is the beat 'em up sections with mini games in between. Most missions will be linear at first, but as the game progresses, you start getting branching paths that require a little exploration to complete. Like when you have to run around on the Bebop and defuse bombs or find keys in a facility to unlock doors. And a lot of the missions end with boss fights. Some are straight up fights, some will incorporate other gameplay mechanics, like having to go third-person pew-pew mode to shoot down signs to drop on the boss so you can punch the shit out of them. You'll also encounter a combat helicopter you gotta shoot down. Overall, the boss fights aren't really special. I like the character designs for them, but I found myself remembering the annoying ones the most. The Colt Meyer boss fight is a headache, because you have to guide a heat-seeking missile back to him. If it hits, then you could deal some damage, but if not, you have to sit and wait for him to spray his minigun a couple of times, then when he launches the missile, run around in a weird path and hope it hits him. This boss fight would not have bothered me so much, but the amount of damage you deal when he's finally open to hit is so minimal, it makes this fight feel like a fucking slog. Now, the game overall isn't even that difficult, but the difficulty does increase as you progress. Enemies that take 3 hits to KO in the first mission will require way more hits at the end of the game. The final bosses are also more challenging, but I wouldn't say hard. You start with 2 difficulties to choose from. I played on normal, and as I said earlier, it only took me 12 hours to beat it. It really sucks that a game based on an anime that has awesome action scenes is ass in the gameplay department. It's a huge letdown, and I understand why so many people shit on this game. But I don't want to end on a sour note. The game's OST is awesome, and it contains a lot of music from the show. Music from Cowboy Bebop is legendary, in my opinion. So being able to fight bad guys while listening to Autumn and Ganymede or Want It All Back was really cool for me. Or when a dramatic scene plays and you hear the strums of the acoustic guitar notes of Don't Bother None. Just like in the anime, the music helps sculpt a great mood throughout the game. I also think the game looks pretty good graphically. The stages and backgrounds aren't anything to praise, but they're not straight garbage either. The cel-shaded character models are really good. They help display just what they wanted, and I found them enjoyable to look at, and I thought the designs for the new characters were really cool. If you're really into Cowboy Bebop, you should play this game just to play it. The gameplay may annoy or bore you, but it's at least playable and worth getting through for the plot, which, to reiterate, the story was way better than I thought it would be. I legit was thinking about this game a lot after I played it and didn't feel my time was wasted. The game is just an interesting experience overall. Have you played Cowboy Bebop Tsuioku no Serenade? What did you think of it? Feel free to share your thoughts. Thank you for watching.